Hello everyone. Today we will look at setting up the Knowtifier so that we can use it to send out automatic notices to our ACT clients based on a date field in the database. And we can set up notices so that you can send out multiple notices before or after the trigger date. And this date could be anything from a subscription renewal date, or it could even be something like a birthday if you want to send out birthday reminders. So we will do that by quickly opening up the Knowtifier program that's on our screen right here and logging into the database. You can see that I already have my ACT database and the username and password filled in. To browse for your ACT database, just simply hit this button here and look for the ACT database on your hard drive and type in your username and password and then hit the login button to continue. Once we do that, it should activate the lower half of Knowtifier, which you can use to set up your email options and also the notices. So one of the first things you need to do after you log in is to click on the email options button and set up your email options. Now this is the email account that's going to be used to send out the actual notices. So if you want to use a generic email account such as info@ and then your domain name, then you can use that, or you can just simply use your own personal account. It's totally up to you. So you can see I've already have most of the information filled in, but if you do not know certain things such as the SMTP server, you can actually click on the auto detect button after you filled in your email address, and the Knowtifier will try to detect your SMTP server for you. Now this process is not guaranteed to work, so we still recommend that you get in touch with your email hosting provider and get the most accurate information. For most email providers such as Gmail and Hotmail, this stuff can be pretty easily looked up through Google, but if you have your own IT company that you use to run, to host your email, then it's best to talk to your email administrator for the correct information. So you can see it correctly detects my SMTP server, and I hit yes, and it actually copies it for me in the SMTP server field. After that, just pick your SMTP port and any encryption settings if needed. Now after you've filled in all your email details, simply select a time that you would like the service to run at. So the Knowtifier actually runs once a day at a certain time, so pick a time that you would want the emails to go out. So for this demonstration, I'll just leave this at 6 a.m. and that's when the Knowtifier will log into the database and start sending out the emails. So it's a good idea to make sure to pick a time that you know that the database will be online, it will not be locked or anything like that, so that it doesn't interfere with the Knowtifier process. So after you have all this set up, all you have to do is simply hit the install button to install the Windows service. Now I already have this installed and the service is running, as you can see, but the first time you start up the Knowtifier, the service will not be running and not installed, and these buttons will be grayed out. So if I just simply hit the stop button and uninstall, you can see here that the buttons are grayed out and the status is blank. So again, just simply to install it, hit the install button here, and now you can see the buttons become active, and you can just hit the start button to start the service. And now you can see it says running under the service status. Now, at this point you can hit OK, and I would recommend that you hit apply just to save all the settings that if we have changed so far. After setting up the email options, you can start creating a template which will be used by our notice to send out the email. And to do that, click on the template editor at the top left here, and that will open up your template editor. And this should look very familiar to you if you've used Microsoft Word at all. And in addition to your mail merge window, you will also see a smaller secondary window, which is actually used to add fields from your ACT database to your template. And as you can currently see, it supports contact, opportunity, and custom table fields. Software is basically a custom table that I have set up in my database at the moment, but for this demonstration we will just use the contact table. So once you select a table, you will see that the bottom list is populated with all of the fields in that database. So let's just begin setting up the template, and one of the first things I will do is to just add in a image, and I will create a quick little renewal notice. And one of the first things you do is to say hello, and then we pick the contact's name. So to add the field to your template, you can either highlight it and click on the insert button, or just simply double click the field name itself, and as you can see, it adds the field code into your template. Now the person that the email will be sent to will not see this text. This is simply a placeholder, and this will be replaced by the actual values of the fields from your ACT database. So to quickly check what the data will look like, you can click on the Home tab and click on the View Merged Data button, and that will replace all the values from your own contact record. So if you're using a contact field, then the values will be replaced with your own records fields, and if you're using any other type of record such as opportunity or a custom table, then in those cases it will just pick a random record from your database. So if we click on this button here, you can see that the field actually changes to my name. So this is essentially how the other person will see the email. But for now, let's just put it back to the field codes and continue editing our template. Okay. And for the renewal date, we can add in our renewal date field. Here we go. And again, just to see what the data looks like, click on the View Merge Data button, and you can see it picks up the renewal date from our ACT database. If we go over here, you can see I have the renewal date added on the right hand side. Okay, so for testing, I think this should be good enough. You can customize your template to include a lot more data, and it's totally up to you how you want it to look. But once you have everything the way you want it, click on the File menu and click on Save As, and then save the template, preferably in your ACT database's templates folder. By default, when you actually go to save and open a template, it will open up your database's templates folder, as you can see, but you can save it in any other location as well, but obviously the templates folder is recommended. So I will just simply give it a name, renewal notice, and hit save. At this point we can just simply close the template editor. And now that we have the template in place, we can start creating our notice and defining the criteria that we will be using. So to do that, click on the Add button on the right, and the first thing we need to do is to give it a meaningful name, and I will just say renewal notice. And for the template, click on this button here and pick the template that we just created, and also make sure the notice is enabled. After this, you need to define days that you want the notice to be sent out on. So for this example, let's say we want the renewal notice to be sent out a month before renewal, and then I want a copy of the renewal notice sent out 2 weeks before renewal, and then finally on the date of the renewal. And doing that is very easy. Simply hit the add button and give it the number of days that you want. So let's say 30, and then in the before/after drop down, select if you want it to be sent out before or after the anchor date. And we will actually pick the anchor date a little later in the video here, but for this one I will say 30 days before, and I will add another one for 14 days before and one for the day of the renewal. So for that you can actually leave this as 0, and you can either pick before or after. It doesn't matter, they're both the same. And there you go. So now it will send 3 notices in total, one month, one at 14 days, and then one on the day of the renewal. Once you have this set up, click on the Field Settings tab and click on the record type drop down and pick the record type that you would like to use with the notice. I will pick the contact table because that's what we are working with. And for the field name drop down, select the field that will be used to track whether or not the notice will be sent out. Since we will be using renewal date, I'll go ahead and pick that. Now, one thing to note regarding date fields is that for contacts, annual event fields are treated a little bit differently in a way so that only the day and the month of that field will be checked by the notifier when sending out notices. And this allows you to use features such as using the birthday field in the on the contact table and send out birthday reminders. So if you are using a simple date field such as renewal date, then the entire date value needs to match. For example, today is March 31st, and in the background in ACT you can see that the renewal date is set to March 31st, 2016. So when the notifier runs, today's date must be March 31st, 2016 for this notice to work on the day of the renewal. For annual event, the year doesn't matter. The year could be 1989, but because the month and the day match, the birthday notice will be sent. So that's one thing to note. If you're using annual event fields, make sure the year does not necessarily matter when sending out the notices. If you're constantly updating the annual event field, then obviously you need to convert it to a regular date field. But in this case, we're just simply using the normal date field, so that's okay. And at the bottom here, there is a section for adding additional filter criteria. And what that means is if you would like to further limit the number of records in your ACT database that will be looked at by Knowtifier, then you can use this. And for this one, let's say we only want customers where the ID status contains a certain text value. And to do that, click on the Add button, and here we will select the ID status, and we'll say ID status contains let's see, customer. So let's say we only want to send out this notice to customers, then we will pick something like this. So this will not include any contacts in your database which are not customers. So when you click OK, that just adds it into your list. And actually, let me go ahead and change it in ACT as well. Let's make this person a customer and a distributor. Okay, so now we have that. Let's save and then go back into Knowtifier. And a nice thing here is that you can click on the preview button, and this will check your entire database and give you a total of records that match this particular criteria. If you have nothing, and let's say if you have contact, then it will give you the total number of contacts in your database. But now if I click on preview, you can see that it says one record match matches the criteria, which is correct because there's only, I believe, there's only 2 contacts in the database and one has the word customer in ID status. So that means it's working and it's all good. So now the other thing we need to do is click on the email settings tab and give it a subject. I'll simply type in renewal notice, and for the bottom 2 fields you can actually add your own email address if you would like to copy yourself on the email that goes out, and I would recommend that you do that for at least the first few notices that are sent out, because this way it will give you nice visibility on the messages that are going out. You can check the formatting, make sure everything looks okay, and you can add multiple email addresses as well. You just need to simply separate them with a comma. Again, I'll just simply add in my email address here as a test. And finally, the last thing that we can do is click on the additional options button, and we can select whether or not we would like to record this notice to history. So every time a notice is sent out, you can choose to have it have a history item created in your ACT database, which will be pretty nice for tracking and reporting. So let's do that. And we actually recommend that you create a custom activity type, custom history type that you can use to track emails like this. So you can see here I have set up a custom history type that says Knowtifier email sent, so I will pick that. And so with these 2 options selected, you will simply see a history item that says a renewal notice was sent to this contact successfully. It doesn't really have any other details. It doesn't contain the actual contents of the email, so it will be pretty light in your database. But if you would actually like to record the entire message itself, including all the images and such, you can click on the attach message file to history checkbox, and that will attach the actual email file onto the history record and attach it and include it in your database. However, keep in mind, if you are sending out a lot of emails, this will greatly increase the size of your attachments folder. So only click on this option if it's very necessary to have this enabled. Otherwise, you can just leave this disabled. So the last thing that we have here is activities. So one of the things you can do is also to create an activity for a user in the database. So let's just say a renewal is coming up and a customer has not renewed their account, and 2 days before renewal you would like to have one of your sales guys give the customer a call. So at the moment we actually do not have a trigger date for 2 days before. So what I will do is actually click on add and add in another notice for 2. But let's say I do not want an email to be sent out on this day. I just want to create an activity, and we can do that if you go back into additional actions and click on add. And from the first drop down here, we'll just simply pick 2 days before and then click on the do not send an email on this day. Okay, and this will override the notice email, and so that the email will not be recorded, the email will not be sent, but it will create an activity for the selected contact. Now if you want the email to be sent out as well, just simply uncheck this. But in this case we will say do not send an email on this day. For the activity type, click on the activity type that you would like to use. So we'll just say call. For the start and end date, give it the number of days that you want prior to the anchor date that you want the activity to be scheduled for. So in this case it's 2, so we'll just pick 2. If you're picking a date after the trigger date, then just simply enter a negative value. So let's say if you want to schedule a call after the renewal date has passed, then you will pick -2. In this case, I will just simply leave this as 2. We can check on the timeless checkbox if we don't really know what time the sales rep will be free. This way it will just simply be a timeless call. We can choose to add an alarm if you want it. And in the schedule for drop down, you will pick the user that you want to schedule it for. I'll just simply schedule it for myself. You can change some of the other options such as regarding, priority, and color. Just say follow up with client and click OK. So with that, I think we've covered most of everything that we need to in order to give you a good idea of what the notifier can do and how to change some of the settings. So let's just do a quick recap. So here we've selected 3 days where the notice will be sent out on, and then one particular day where we actually want an activity to be created instead. For the field settings, we've selected the renewal date field, which is a contact field. If you actually are using a custom table, then you will select custom table, and then from the custom table name drop down, you will pick the custom table name that you would like to use, and then finally you will select the particular date field that you would like to use from that table. In this case, we will just simply stick to the contact table and the renewal date field. For the filter criteria, we have chosen ID status must contain customer. And one more thing regarding criteria is that if you have more than one filter criteria selected, then all of those criteria must match before the contact can be included in the notifier's lookups. And just to demonstrate that, I'll add in one more criteria, and I have a field in my database called do not contact, which is a yes/no field. So I only want those contacts to be emailed where the do not contact field is not checked. So I will say do not contact must equals false. Okay, so what this means again is both this condition must be true and this condition must be true before an email will be sent out to any contact. Okay, and for the email settings, we have chosen to copy ourselves on the email, and for the additional actions, we want to record it in history, and also here's the details regarding the activity. So now that that's set up, we can simply hit OK and apply, and now we simply wait for the next time the renewal the next time the notifier will run, which is 6 a.m. In our case. So just to give you a quick example of what it will look like in Outlook, I will pause the video and come back with a sample email, and I will show you what it looks like. Okay, so I have just received the email, so let me bring that up. And as you can see, there's your image, and if you scroll down, there's your contact name and the renewal date. And for the addresses, you have your contact's email address, and this is the email address that we typed in so that we would be copied on our email message. So everything works correctly there. And if we go back into Act and click on the History tab, you will see that there was a history item recorded. And if you click on this little link icon, the same email message will open up, which is actually stored in your Acts attachments folder. And that covers pretty much everything. If you have any questions regarding setup, or if you require any help, feel free to contact us. Or if you would like some reading material, you can go to our knowledge base, which is available at kb.actforwork.com, and then click on the notifier section from the top left here. And then here is where I basically put up a simple setup guide which covers most of everything that we discussed today, but if you have any additional questions, feel free to refer to this. And that is it. So thank you so much for watching, and hopefully you enjoy using Knowtifier.